In the name of Omen, the supreme, the all-powerful, the one and only true Lord, in Omen we trust as the Republic of Intellect. The real 144,000 is being gathered in this day and time, the mentalists. It's like Omen we talking about mentalist brothers and sisters out there, registered members of the Republic of Intellect, and to all future mentalists who have yet to find their way home to the Republic of Intellect, which is Omen's community. I send greetings out to you, I send peace out to you, and I'm in the language by saying to you, Omen. Good evening, I'm your host, the intellectual NUBEN MENKARAYZZ. This is Intellect Radio, and tonight we're going to be discussing the raising above the moon frequency. That is very key in our evolution as a collective body moving into the fourth dimension as the elect. That is very key. The fourth dimension is solar frequency. Solar frequency. Solar transmission. Though this three-dimensional realm is run ultimately by solar frequency through the moon, the moon still represents alternating current. The moon still, by the way of the light of the moon, still represents alternating current, which blocks us from our direct contact to the sun, which is what the elect will need in these days and times. How does that translate? How does that translate that we are going to have to bypass this lunar frequency, this moon frequency, in order for us to extend ourselves mentally into the next dimension, into the fourth dimension? I told you that a byproduct of this lunar frequency, of this moon frequency, is emotion. Emotion is a byproduct of the moon frequency, or the lunar frequency, that is currently overtaking the masses of people. Right? The moon frequency, the lunar frequency, is being pushed extra hard in society, especially now with the COVID-19 thing. Like I said, emotions are running high. Emotions are running high. That is the moon frequency that is controlling this atmosphere. There's a reason why the beast made his way to the moon in 69, the 60s and whatnot, because, again, that was meant to be a ritual, right, to find out the depth in which the moon controls the tides on the planet. They could have went any place else, but they chose, or they were shooting for the moon, because the moon controls the tides on the planet. And they had something to do with trying to tweak the frequency of, or the lunar frequency of water onto the planet. They had something to do with this. Why the goal was to make it to the moon first, to tweak the lunar frequency. Right? Because, as I said, the tides on the planet, the water on the planet, is controlled by the pulling of the moon. And it is dispatching out the transmission of the sun. Right? It is controlling the emotions and movements of the people here on Earth. And it keeps the people from being or thinking logically. Rarely do you see people who make logical and rational decisions in this three-dimensional realm. Everything is based on emotion. And emotion is what gets people, or keeps people, in a downward spiral within the third dimension. It keeps people pulled into the three-dimensional realm. And again, notice the things that carry water frequency that pull you down. When you're angry, when you're upset, what do you start to do? You start to cry. You start to cry, water. So that water pouring down from your face is controlled by that lunar frequency. Now, when it is an emotional thing, it is controlled by that lunar frequency. You're crying, right? Your anger. You get certain people who get so angry where they're starting to cry. They were so angry. Emotion is what pulls us down to this three-dimensional realm. Is what keeps us locked in this and keeps us making bad decisions in our lives, right? The bad decisions that are made in our lives are due to the moon frequency that governs this planet, that alternating current of frequency, this three-dimensional current of frequency that controls the third and the second dimension. This is what keeps you pulled down. This is what keeps you from receiving direct power from our ascendants, the Omen, who have already bypassed the moon frequency. In fact, they're not even born in the moon frequency. The children that are coming are pure solar beings. The children that are coming in these years to come will be pure solar beings. They will not be emotional. And you have to be very careful in how you raise them, because they will be very foreign. They will become very foreign to your emotional ways, the ways that you've learned here. It will be foreign to them, right? Because as it is meant that the solar frequency, the solar transmission of this planet is looking to make a direct connection to the elect, those who are coming in the next, those who are making decisions based on logic. Why? Because we're going to need it in these next days and times to come. We're going to need logical and rational people working collectively together as a community, as a movement for what we're about to see. What are we about to see? Mass hysteria, right? You're going to see hysteria, right? And it doesn't take much. The beast is fanning the flames with things like COVID-19 and racism. It's still the same old thing, which keeps the emotions on high, right? Because if they just allow this solar frequency, which is making its way to the earth, if they just allow it to happen, then the cream of the crop, the elect, will come to the top. They will come to a realization and a reality about all of the things that have held them back, and they will come with one direct and final solution to raise them, and that is coming. That is coming. Right? Excuse me. The reason why the beast was able to hold us back in society was due to emotion. Everything traces back to emotion, fear, anger, right? Sadness. All the things that they use to hold us back were based on their own emotional dysfunction, their own fears, their own anger, their own sorrow, their own hatred for us, their own envy and jealousy for us. That's where all that is coming from. They transfer their emotional energy onto us. Emotional energy has been transferred. Their lunar frequency, their moon frequency, their lunar energy has been transferred onto us. And it has made us irrational people. It has made us illogical people. It has made us make bad decisions. As a bronze people, we have made bad decisions, which is why we end up in the situations we in right now, in the circumstances, I should say, that we are in circular situations, circumstances that circumvent you from moving forward. Right? This is why we're in the circumference of somebody else's choices and decisions, which again are controlled by lunar frequency. Right now, the different phases of the moon, the moon I think is half full right now, and it's going to play a part in people's reaction, just like when the moon is all the way full, it plays a part in people's reaction here. It is clear that this frequency of lunacy is what throws people off mentally. It keeps you out of alignment with your higher or extended self. If there is such a self, you must first find out if there is such a self. See, the people who acknowledge that there is such an extended self, a advanced self, or for lack of a better word, a higher self, they are part of the solar transmission of that solar frequency. These are the people who are receiving direct current, direct transmission. These are those people. They're receiving direct transmission. This is why they're able to not get upset, angry, and they are able to operate through all of these emotions and move past all of this, because there's always a brighter and extended version or view of yourself. If you see yourself past your emotions, if you see yourself past your indecisiveness, if you see yourself past your emotional and lunar frequency that you have picked up, know that this is not you. if there is an extended version of you, if you can see yourself past this. Because, again, it starts with you being able to see yourself past being emotional. A lot of people are not able to see that. That's what's going to tell you who's really of the elected, who's not. Those who choose to give in to emotion, right, through that lunar frequency. Those who choose to give in rather than, as they say, to take the high road and to be focused logically and rationally on the extension of self. That extension of self cannot come through emotion. Notice people in these last days and these next days to come will try to play on and tug on your emotions. Right? See? Those are the people, like I said, this emotional thing, this lunar thing, this global warming that they keep talking about, the sun coming closer. Again, this is direct current, direct transmission coming for the elect. And we are going to be forced to burn out that lunar mindset, that emotional mindset, that fearful mindset, that scary mindset. And we're going to have to bring that fire, that projection into us. We're going to have to become those Omen, whose eyes, meaning mental, are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, meaning that our vision becomes 10,000 times brighter than the sun, meaning that we can see into the future. We can constantly see the bigger picture in moving past this moon frequency, this lunar frequency. That's the only way we're going to be able to see it. Lunar frequency or the moon frequency is what keeps us from seeing the bigger picture. It's what keeps us from seeing the future and our place in the future. That's what keeps us from seeing it. That keeps us from seeing our place in the future, where we belong in the future, who we are in the future. This stops us. This holds us back. This keeps us from evolving into who we are. People here will always try to get you emotionally attached to something. They will always try to get you emotionally attached to something. People will use your children. People will use their relationships with you. People will always try to get you emotionally attached to something. You see? And that is the lunar frequency in them. That is that lunatic frequency in them. You might just want to be and grow and evolve in your thoughts. But then as you're trying to grow and evolve in your thoughts, your direct current, because again, your thoughts should be very short and very very linear. And when I say short, I don't mean like what I want to say. They should be decisive when I mean short, decisive and on point. And they should be extended in a linear procession. In other words, the way you're supposed to see things if you are of that solar projection is that everything in your life, starting from this point, is set on a timer, an extended linear time in which you are supposed to meet certain, certain goals that you're trying to accomplish, places you're trying to get to within yourself. When you are trying to accomplish things in your life, let's just say business, money, whatever you're trying to accomplish in your life, it's not that in all actuality, from the lunar side, they teach you that you're trying to accomplish these things because you're trying to, gather material, right? Be it people, place, and possession. They teach that this is the ultimate goal in trying to gather these things in the three-dimensional realm, what you call accomplishments. But in the fourth dimension, without the lunar prevention, without the moon frequency, we know that the reason why we are accomplishing or we're ultimately here to accomplish has nothing to do with the taking of material things. We accomplish these things as a byproduct, but the ultimate goal is to get to the higher versions of yourself, because each time you accomplish something, you are extending yourself mentally. So we do it for the extension. I told you that making money And accomplishing things in life should be done, but should be done solely from a point of mental extension, not because you want to possess material things, not because you want to possess people. It should be done from a logical and extended vision of yourself, things that will help you grow as a person. In other words, let's say, you want to get with a guy or a girl. You want to get with those people because getting with those people will bring out an extended version of you. You don't want to get with them because I like you, you look good, you sex. That's emotion. That's 3 dimensional. You see, that's emotional. That's that lunar frequency. I like you, you look good. I don't like you no more after I don't want to be with you no more. Or we done had sex and we done did all this. I don't want to be with you. I'm bored now. See, that's the lunar frequency. That's the moon frequency. No, we don't move like that. If I get with somebody or you get with somebody, it's because we see being with these people will bring out better things in us, extended things in us. That's how you move in a solar mindset when it comes to relationships. See, that's totally different from the 4th dimensional side, don't you think? Totally different. Correct? Is it not? Totally different. I'm not getting with you because I like you, because you got a big butt, big breast. I like how you talk. Oh, yeah. I don't care about all that. You see, I'm getting with you because being with you brings out a greater part in me. Ultimately, I'm trying to get to the better parts of myself through this linear transmission, through this linear and direct transmission through solar projection. But that comes with a solar frequency. See, because when you are in alignment with that solar frequency, it causes you to make the hard decisions. It causes a fire to come in you, a mental fire, right? And when you have, when you associate things with fire, with brightness, with power, what happens? It makes you more serious. It makes you more serious and whatnot. It makes you more serious and focused, where you don't have time for folly. You don't have time for foolishness. You don't have time for people in your life that don't mean a goddamn thing. You don't have time for things in your life that don't mean things. You don't have time for situations in your life that don't mean nothing. They only hang around, or you only allow these things to hang around in your life because they are in alignment with the moon frequency. They are in alignment with the moon frequency. That's why you allow no good niggas to be in your life, no good females to be in your life, baby daddies, nobody niggas on the phone talking to people about nothing, getting angry over stupid stuff, right? Being disagreeable for no reason, giving in to your emotions when you know it's nothing but a bunch of lunar demons on you, right? That's all it is. You let yourself come down to that low frequency within that 3-dimensional realm, that's what gets on you. You beating on your kids for no reason, yelling at them, getting mad at your husband, getting mad at your wife, drinking too much, getting high, whatever you doing to cause chaos and confusion. That's what the lunar frequency, that alternating current, does. It brings out chaos and confusion in the people that receive it and absorb it. That's all it does. It brings about chaos and confusion. And you must never allow yourself to be on that moon frequency, on that lunar frequency like everybody else here. Right? You must never allow that. Like now, you see these so-called white people, they're going crazy being in the house because they usually, and you're going to hear about a lot of it, they going crazy being in the house with their children, not being able to roam free, right? Because then they have to look at themselves, right? They have to get out and spread that mentality, that mindset, lunar frequency out. They can't have that lunar frequency concentrated in one place. You see, you have all that emotion concentrated in one place in your house. What happens? You start the meltdown. You want to get out and dispatch that lunar energy all over the place. You want to be interactive with a bunch of lunar frequency people. You want to be amongst people. You want to move about and things like that. But the person who can actually sit in the house, contemplate, think quietly, those are the people who are in alignment with that linear extension. Right? those are the people who are in alignment with that linear extension. We don't mind. This is a glimpse into what the fourth dimension is going to look like. Let's take a call. 832.
Yeah, so as far as the emotions go, what you're saying, I believe is spot on, because I used to be somewhat of an emotional person, but as I've grown, and especially, over the last couple of years, feels like frequencies, different things have been changing on the earth, but getting into different situations with people, I've noticed if I just keep a cool head, I don't use any emotion, I'm somewhat able to kind of even control the way they act towards me. I mean, I've recently gotten through a little bit somewhat of trouble, and in the past it would have been emotional, but this time I was very cool, very logical, and I was basically able to talk my way out of the situation and pretty much control the minds of the people that I was dealing with to an extent. I've never heard you speak on this, but I wanted to know, I've heard about the moon being actually some type of artificial structure. What do you think about that? Like something that was created to control people. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the moon is I want to say it is not a projection, but more of a reflection. It was a reflection, or it is a reflection of the sun. It is I want to say it's more of a watered down projection. That's the best way I could say it. It's more of a lunar based projection. If that makes sense. Okay. What I mean by that is you have the sun, which is a solar projection, and then you have the reflection of the sun, which is the moon. So again, the moon was, you might as well say, it was created to basically push through the solar transmissions into this planet and whatnot, and also to protect it, because again, the moon is a buffer for the sun, and direct sunlight does not come to this planet. It has to pass through the moon in order for the moon to soften it and break it down and basically dispatch it throughout the planet in a rotation.
Okay. But yeah, you're definitely spot on about the non-emotion. The more you're able to rise above your emotions, it seems like it's the more you're able to control, your environment around you. So. But yeah, that's all I had.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
901.
Hey, quick question. So you're saying that the moon buffers all of the transmission coming from the sun, even if it's not necessarily in plain view? Like, it's always buffering the transmission so we don't get 100% of the transmission that's coming through?
No, we don't. Because if we actually, it's going to come to that point. It's going to come to that point, but we're not there yet. Certain people, like I said, we're not getting direct projection into, from the sunlight. We're not getting it directly. It's starting to happen though, and they already know that's going to happen. Is it because too many black people concentrated in one space that it's kind of spreading out, and we're not really dialing it in like we're supposed to be doing? Say it one more time. Is it because there are too many dead receivers on the planet, and it's kind of like spreading the transmission out as compared to maybe like directing it to a certain spot so we can pick it up? Yeah, that's true. It's a lot of dead. There are a lot of dead receivers who are, because see, when so-called black people, I'm going to say it like this, when so-called black people are just moving around, they're still moving on a solar current and whatnot, and it's too many of them that are dead receivers that are not actively or directly picking up the transmission. So what happens is, we are not getting it directly. So we're trying to bring it more into a concentration. That's why the community is necessary, to bring that solar projection into a concentrated focus or a concentrated unimental force. Because the unimental force, or the one mind force, comes from solar projection and that direct reception of solar current, because you have to be focused for the reception of it. You have a lot of, right now, you have a lot of these lunar cults. I'm going to call them just like that, lunar cults or lunar groups on Earth, which are called religions, Christianity, Islam, Judaism. All of their doctrines work off of lunar transmission or lunar frequency. Everything they do, spirituality, everything here works off of a lunar current. So they're able to pull a lunar current directly, or, indirectly pull that lunar current. And again, this is what gives all these different religions and philosophies here on the earth. That's all based on lunar current. But the direct current is solar transmission, and only a few are going to get that.
So is the solar transmission engaged through the mind field and then dispersed through the body first?
Correct.
And then it through the soul?
Mm-hmm. And then it goes through the mind. It's pulled in through the mind field that's around the brain, and it goes throughout the body, and it connects into the soul, and it starts to charge the soul. That's why, if you notice, when the sun is out, you tend, to have more energy. When the sun is, shining brightly, you tend to have more energy because it's actually charging your soul.
For me, I feel euphoric feeling about 9 o'clock in the morning, right before noon, right when the sun's coming up, and it's like new transmission coming onto the earth. That's the best time of the day for me. I can go outside. I can do anything at that time of the day. And that's when they say the creativity is the most highest, is early in the morning. So when I get up in the morning, I take a shower, I come outside, and I just sit outside. And I can just sit outside and not do anything else. I cannot talk. I cannot move. I mean, I usually go outside and move around and stay energetic, but it's so tranquil to the point where I can just sit and bask in it and just sit there. You know what I'm saying? And just take it all in. And then, I pretty much build it up. And it's a good way to start the day. And I pretty much end the day like that. And so it's a very euphoric experience. And it's getting stronger because it's getting more tranquil. And it's like almost therapeutic in a sense. Because it just puts you in a peaceful mind state, Yeah.
Because, what it does, like I said, it's actually charging you. Because you see the difference, and I've noticed it in myself, where, when it rains heavily, all you want to do, if you notice when it rains heavily, all you want to do is really sleep. You ever get that?
Yes, sir. All the time.
You want to sleep.
And that's the time.
You want to sleep. You want to sleep because, all of that rain has a gravitational pull. So when it's falling to the earth like that, it's still being controlled by lunar frequency, and it pulls everything down, even you, to where it makes you tired. It's that gravitational pull to the earth. It even makes you want to lay down and rest. But then when the sun is up and going, it's like you're charging. You're starting to charge. You're moving about. So
it's like the transmission is at a peak. So you're saying the water has like a weight to it, like an actual weight, atomic weight to it. And it kind of like interferes the circadian rhythm of the body.
Yeah, it has a weight to it. It has a gravitational pull to it and whatnot, and it pulls everything down. Like I said, when it's raining or when it's gloomy or whatever the case is, all you want to do is just basically sleep and lay down and whatnot. You don't really want to move about.
Right, and especially when people are emotional, they get tired and it's really draining, and all they do is sleep. So I see the correlation. But thank you, Ms. Moore. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So, we have to be mindful of this and the correlation, because again, we have not had direct current or direct connection to the sun since we've been on this earth. We've had glimpses and bits and pieces of it, but it's going to come a time where the elect are going to receive pure solar current. And again, they already know this is going to happen. Like I said, this is the biggest fear, that this planet will no longer be run on lunar current, but on solar current. Right now, the planet is run on lunar current. Even from the electrical grids here and everything is run on lunar current, because the electrical grids are run by the water. You know, the current in the water, that's where their generators are. The current in the water and things like that is what basically controls the flow of energy here on the planet. Right? Electricity and all that other stuff is lunar. That's water or lunar current. So when everything, that's why now, because they're trying to push, because I was watching this documentary called Planet of the Humans. Maybe I might want to check that out. It's produced by Michael Moore. It's on YouTube. It's called Planet of the Humans. I think it came out this year. And it's basically talking about the emissions on the planet and how they talking about how they trying to, you know, stop the global warming and all this other crap that they've been saying, the environmentalists and whatnot, talking about all the they're talking about all of the stuff they're using up, the coal and all of the fossil fuel and things they're using up on the planet, right? And how it's they taking down mountains and things like that. But see, what they don't really understand about that is everything that they're doing, taking the coal out of the planet, taking a lot of the, you know, doing the things they're doing, that's being directed for them to do it, because all it's doing is quickening their deaths. Because all the things they're pulling out of the planet, the coal and all the fossil fuel and whatnot, is really supposed to be there in the planet as a form of absorption. So now that these things are not being absorbed, these solar rays are not being absorbed into the planet and whatnot, they're going to have to be absorbed someplace else. You're pulling out all the elements in the planet. So now the sun is looking for a place to take up, and something has to, you know, pull it in, and has to be an absorption rate taking place. Where does all that solar energy go, that solar power, if you're pulling all the elements out of the earth and they're worrying about the heat and the global warming and whatnot? Because it's only going to get warmer because the sun it's nothing to absorb the sunlight. When you're pulling all the elements out, the fossil fuel and all of that, they're taking it out too fast. But all it's doing is it's going to basically be forced to produce a whole other energy, and it's going to charge another group of people. It's going to charge the people who are supposed to be receiving it. The ones who are part of the creation here, they're not going to receive that, and they're going to die a lot quicker. The ones who are not part of that projection, they're not going to be able to receive it. Right? So that's coming. They're trying to keep the lunar frequency going here on the planet. They're trying to keep it going, but they know they're not going to be able to do it for so long. You see, they're trying to figure out alternate ways of keeping the lunar frequency or the moon frequency going, pulling the tides and whatnot. So if you see in a lot of your areas a lot of rain, a lot of heavy rains and whatnot, a lot of that is being engineered. A lot of the heavy rains are being engineered to precipitate a lot of the motion of lunar frequency, the alternating currents going back and forth. Because again, just rain in itself, the rain in itself causes depression in a lot of people, because they can't go out, and then it's the pulling down of people's attitudes, their mindset to that gravitational pull into the earth. So again, when people say, oh, it's raining, it's gloomy, you tend to become depressed and gloomy and things like that when it's raining. When that rain is hitting the planet, when there's that gravitational pull, everything is being pulled down. What does the sun do? The sun pulls everything up. Heat makes things rise. So therefore, those who are in direct alignment with it are raising above the moon frequency. Those who are in direct alignment with it. But it all starts with you thinking a certain way. So aligning yourself with the solar current and the move above the moon frequency is to constantly focus on a future or a future outcome that is, how I want to say, one direction. To focus on a future outcome that is only one direction, that means you have no alternating you have no alternating outcomes. You don't want any alternating outcomes, because alternating outcomes are dictated by the moon frequency. Decisions, choices, emotional attachments, all that comes with decisions. There should be no decisions. There should only be one choice, or should I say one direction, no decisions. One direction. One direction builds up that solar transmission in you, because it puts you on a linear course to a extended place. Once you lock in mentally and you are sure in this course, in this direction, and where you want to go, it powers you ahead much stronger. It moves you past all the alternating current that can slow you down, the emotional attachment you get from making choices or decisions, and that indecisiveness. Am I making myself clear? Let me know if I'm making myself clear. Man. In other words, when you have a set goal, and you're not straying from that path, that's when that solar transmission kicks in. That solar transmission kicks in. When you have a set goal and you say, I'm not going to depart from this path, I'm going to keep moving on this path and whatnot, that solar projection kicks in. You have become focused, and that solar projection comes in. That's when you have started to rise above the moon frequency. Because, see, the moon frequency gives you all of these fake decisions, these fake choices and whatnot, gives you all these false decisions to make. And this is what causes you to get attached to these things and the emotion of it and whatnot. And then eventually you don't do anything, or you end up making the wrong choices, or your energy goes into all the wrong things because you were emotionally attached to something. But when you have set your mind to be on a linear path, focused on one thing and one thing only, that solar projection picks up in you. Right? That direct current picks up in you, and you start to move along a lot faster in where you're trying to go. But when you think you got a whole bunch of different choices, when you think you got a whole bunch of different directions and whatnot, a whole bunch of different decisions to make, that's the lunar frequency. That's the moon frequency. You see, that's the moon frequency. There's a reason why the so-called Jews call themselves Zionists. You know why they call themselves Zionists? Because they know exactly what I'm talking about in their Kabbalah teachings about that focusing on the sun. They know a little bit about that, the Zionists and whatnot, because the word Zion means sun. Right? And if you ever notice the so-called Jews, the Zionists, they tend to be very direct and focused in the things they accomplish. And like, where do you think they got that from? They tend to be successful because they focus on one thing and mastering one thing, and they start to lock into that. And they tend to be, and again, they can lock into your frequency on some level. They can lock into it, and they accomplish things. You see, they're not attached to nothing emotionally. That's why they accomplish things. They focus on one thing. They have, what they call it, laser. Don't they call it laser sharp focus? Why you think y'all ever heard that phrase, laser sharp focus? Why you think they call it that? How many of y'all heard that, laser sharp focus? Where you just focus in on achieving that one thing. So again, that lunar frequency kicks in when you are in direct connection to something. You are looking to accomplish this one thing. That's how that works. The direct current is the solar current. The alternating current is the lunar current, or the moon frequency, or the lunar frequency. Right? That is the current that creates delusions. And I'm going to talk about that in another broadcast, how delusional people are created. That's through the moon frequency. That's how delusional things and delusional ideas, things that are not real, are created. That's another reason why we must raise above the moon frequency, because so often, like I said, we have these ideas, these false ideas that put in your head due to the moon frequency. Because notice in the Beast movie, he always shows you romance, people are always out holding hands in the moonlight, right? They make the moon a thing of romance, right? A form of bringing people together in an emotional connection, right? They make the moon the focus. And that's because that's where all the emotional and illogical decisions are made in the going forth of a relationship. That's where they're made. That's where things are thrown off. That's where a lot of bad decisions are made, illogical choices are made. This is where a lot of these relationships don't last because they are moving off of a moon frequency, off of a lunar current. And a lunar current is an indecisive current. It changes. Same way the phases of the moon changes, the same way you change your mind. And when you keep changing, what happens? Stagnation happens. Nothing gets accomplished. There's no direct current that speeds you ahead into the next levels of who you are, because you have to constantly keep stopping. You have to constantly keep reevaluating. You have to constantly keep on being indecisive and whatnot, doing all this other stuff. You slow yourself down because you are not clear on what it is that you want to ultimately accomplish. You are confused. That's what the moon frequency does. It causes confusion. It causes chaos in your mind. It causes indecisiveness. It splits you mentally in half. You know that term, split personalities. That's really what your emotions are, split personalities of yourself. A low level split personalities of yourself are nothing but things that are cast out by way of emotion and moon or lunar frequency. That's why they call people, what do they call people who are crazy or who got split personality? They call them loonies, right? Loony is short for lunar. Loony, a Looney Tune, loony is short for lunar. Right? Everything here is based on the moon frequency. Even the thing of money. You know where the word money comes from? The word money is short for moony. Moony, as in M-O-O-N-E-Y. Moony. Because they wanted to create a lunacy around money. A craziness around money. That's why people will go crazy over money. People will be ready to kill over money. That's a lunacy attached to money. People will sell drugs to each other, kill each other, set each other up over money, rob each other, everything over paper, money, to create a lunar or lunatic type mindset in the people over what they call currency. They want to create a insanity in your mind. You see, that's why I said there'll never be a cashless society. Y'all keep on, these niggas always talking about there's going to be a cashless society. It will never be a cashless society. It will never be a credit-based or debit society because, again, you cannot have a lunatic people without money. Part of the lunacy on this planet, part of the lunacy that is needed in this three-dimensional realm that the beast controls is based on money. Money. That lunar connection to paper dollars. That lunar connection to physical relationships. That lunar connection to the advancement and achievement of finding your highest self. That's why they say everything is spiritual. They did away with the soul. Why do you think that is? They did away with the soul because the soul represents direct current. The spirit represents multiple choice. And thus, with multiple choice brings confusion. Why you think you don't hear the soul no more? They made sure they did away with that because, again, that represents direct current. They don't want nobody having direct current here to the solar projection. They don't want that because that puts you in alignment with the fourth dimension. We'll be right back. Everything in this society, right, is decided by the lunar frequency, the moon frequency. Everything here. The religion, the spirituality, everything runs off a lunar frequency. And the biggest thing that they've always been afraid of is that all that would be offset by solar current. This is why you have them building these solar panels. They're building the solar panels as a way to absorb the sun and the heat here. This is why they really build it. It has nothing to do with the energy grid. It has to do everything with them absorbing the heat from the sun. They're trying to create ways to absorb it since they cannot stop it. The solar panels was a way to just absorb heat from global warming. They want this planet to stay under lunar control. All right. They want it to stay under lunar control. They don't want that solar frequency or that solar transmission, that direct current to go out because they don't know who it's going to go to. Well, they got an idea who it's going to go to, but they don't want that to happen because they realize once that happens, once that solar current is triggered into certain people, it's going to speed them up a lot faster mentally, physically. It's going to speed them up. And again, this is what we're trying to get to. This is what we're working to get toward, being sped up in that solar projection. Being sped up there, waiting for this power that's being stored in the moon to run out, to override the moon frequency. We are trying to override the moon frequency, and we have to override it in ourselves. We have to make sure we override that moon frequency in ourselves. We can never allow that moon frequency to take hold of us. You see, we cannot. We must close ourselves off to moon frequency. Emotions, indecisiveness, bad decisions, right? Pettiness, ignorance, individuality. All of these are byproducts of the moon frequency. This is why you got so many bugged out people on the planet today. You got so many bugged out people because all these bugged out philosophies that the beast put forward, because he knows everybody here is under lunar control. He knows that. The biggest way, the biggest way he dispatches lunar control is through the money, the moonie. Through the moonie. Ain't everybody moonie hungry or money hungry? Tell me I'm wrong. That's all. I know everybody talk all the stuff they want, but everybody all connected to that money. They want that money. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having money, but like I said, they go crazy for it. There's a reason why it was called money. It was to keep the imbalance going. You see, it was to keep the mental imbalance going. They will never move to a system where there's no money. They have to keep a level of insanity going here. They have to keep a level of indecisiveness going here. And that's a high level. They have to keep men and women fighting with each other, disagreeing with each other, arguing over stupid nonsense, making men act like females and whatnot. All this stuff, all that has to do with that lunar current. All the things you see, the transgenderism, all that's lunar current. And the reason why you see it at an all-time high is because the lunar current is getting burned out. And when something is on its way out, when it's getting burned out, what happens? What happens when it's on its way to getting burned out? It starts to short-circuit. Everything starts to go haywire. That's why you're seeing all these crazy laws, everything coming out, everything's being exposed, because we're going through a change right now. The solar current is coming in, and everything is being exposed. You see, this is all in alignment with that. The solar current is coming in, and everything that's under lunar control is being exposed, even the people. You see, everything is being exposed. Told you all these religions are based in witchcraft. Islam, Christianity, Judaism is all based in witchcraft. Spirituality is all witchcraft. It's all about keeping the lunar current going in a succession on the planet. That's why all these religions were set up. That's why the Israelites, they have their high holy days on the lunar calendar. Everything's lunar here. Muslims use the crescent, the star and the crescent moon. You see, all of their things are based in the lunar current, or the lunar currency. You see, the lunar currency is money, a moon. You see, they don't want that. This is another reason why they went off the gold standard and whatnot here in the society, because the goal is what? The goal is created by sun projection or solar projection. They wanted to take everybody off of that projection, that solar projection form of elemental current, and they wanted to go to a lunar currency. The lunar currency is the money. It was backed by nothing but lunar frequency. Because again, notice how it goes in alignment. The same way the gold backed the paper dollar is the same way sun power backs lunar current. The same way sun power backs lunar current is the same way the gold backed money, paper money. But then when they took you off the gold standard, that in their mind was equivalent to taking us off of the sun current and letting everything run off of the lunar. Letting everything run from the lunar. Because they feel that the moon has enough power stored in it to run without sunlight. This is why Bill Gates is talking about blocking out the sun. They want to see how everything runs without solar current being in direct alignment with the moon and transmission of that solar current into the earth. They want to cut the sun out and just see how we run off the moon's energy or power, whatever's stored there. This is what they want to do. And that will be a disaster. That would be a disaster. Not that they could ever accomplish it, but that would be a disaster. In other words, they want to cut the direct transmission that the moon receives to buffer out or to dispatch the power into the earth. They want to cut that out. They want to go directly just to the moon. You see, they want to go directly to the moon because they know the solar projection is cut. That is the end of linear thought. They know that is the end of linear thought. Everything is circular belief. Everything becomes circular belief that they control, and they basically on their way to trying to get people prepped for that right now. They're trying to get people prepped for that. That's why they put out all these psyops and everything. And again, the governments are set up on mental control or mind control. What are they trying to get you to be under control of? Right? Money, currency, moon, lunar current. To move by that. That is the biggest control mechanism that these governmental societies have. The moon. The lunar currency, right? Which makes people move. They know how to break people down physically by doing what? Depriving them of the money. The money. The money is what controls the people. You cause a depression in the people, a mental depression in people by taking the money out of, or threatening to take the money out of circulation. Notice circulation, circular. Right? You threaten to shut off people's accounts and things like that. So you take that away from them so that depresses the people. And when you depress the people, you control the power of the people. You control the energy of the people. Right? You make them open for demonic possession. Because what happens when people don't have money? They get angry. They get upset. They might decide to start committing crimes. Women might decide to start selling their bodies, whatever. Isn't that not what is happening right now with a lot of this corona thing? People can't go to work. Money is being slowed down in certain places. Women have taken to selling themselves. People panicking. So again, that's all planned out. That's a plan to get people under the lunar frequency even further, under the lunar current even further. They'll figure some way to get people on board with the blocking out of the sun. They're going to figure out a way out to get people on board with that. You see? Because they down to their last hope on it because they know it's coming. And when that direct current comes, it'll be the rise of another society. It'll be a rise of another empire. Right? There was a movie out years ago called Empire of the Sun. Empire of the Sun, where basically they keep showing you, the beast shows you in these apocalyptic films, a society that is in the desert. They show you societies in the desert They don't show you the lush buildings in society anymore that was built by money. They show you a lot of desert societies, right? They take this. They show you in the apocalyptic, all the industrial cities, all the industrialization, all that is done because with industrialization and all this other stuff, how they do it, right? Because there was a solar form of industrialization in the ancient world, but things were based on gold. There was no paper money or paper money. It was based on gold. Gold is synonymous with sun, right? And there was more of a freedom of making money through trade and things like that. They want to control that, right? They want to control that. But the solar current, it brings everything into a change on the planet. With the solar current, there's a change with everything on the planet. And what these elites don't understand was that time of the planet being under lunar frequency was only going to be temporary. The time in which lunar frequency would dominate the planet would be temporary. It was only for you all to come here and work. That's the only reason why lunar frequency dominated the planet. It was only for the humans to work. They had to work off lunar frequency. They could not work off a direct solar current. So now that their work is for the most part done, they done did everything they can do to the earth. They done spread all the things they could spread. They exhausted all of these fossil fuels, which they were generated to get out of the earth anyway. You see, all the things they're doing in society, where they talking about global warming because they dug out the fossil fuels and all this other stuff, it was put in their mind telepathically. That had to happen. All of these things had to be dug out. You know what I'm saying? And of course, there was a effect of why they were dug out, but they had to be dug out because the ultimate goal was to get us closer to the sun. That was the ultimate goal, to make the planet less dense. The reason why all those elements were dug out, why the white man had it in his mind to dig out the gold and the coal and all this other stuff and all the elements, is to make the earth less dense. That's why. That the earth, all that stuff was stored in the earth, it was making the earth too dense. It was making it too heavy. So they used it for fossil fuel. They sent the telepathic transmission to the humans to dig it out and make money off it, because all that stuff, all those fossil fuels had to come out of the earth to make the earth less dense. That's the only reason. And now that it's become less dense, right? It's going to become less dense. It'll become more light. It'll start to move to a tip toward a levitational pole. You'll start to see the opening of the levitational pole, because the earth is becoming less dense, because the humans are taking a lot of those elements out of the planet, but gave it a heavier gravitational pull, just for them to work. And their work is pretty much almost done. There's nothing else left for them to do, except die. Or convert themselves into the gray race, which they're doing right now. That's their only chance of survival. All right? With that, we'll be right back. Every time you bronze men are being emotional, you are deflectors for the solar current. I'm going to say it again. Every time you bronze men are emotional, you become deflectors instead of receptors for the solar current. You become deflectors of it, and you open yourself up to be receivers of lunar current. Every time you bronze women become emotional or indecisive, you become deflectors for the solar current, meaning that you are not receiving it. Every time you start to behave that way, your body literally shuts down as a receptor of the solar current, and you immediately go into that lower stage and become receptors of the lunar current or the lunar frequency that the beast has got going here. You see, when you so-called black men get emotional, you see how in this society how they try to push the so-called young black boys to be raised by their mothers and not their fathers. When you do that, they're trying to enact a solar frequency and you young black boys, thus making you emotional. The young so-called bronze boys are being made emotional so that they are made to be solar deflectors. You see what I'm saying? You become solar deflectors, all right, when you are emotional. And you become lunar receptors. That's why when a lot of these young black men, like I said, they get emotional like that, what do they start to do? They start acting out. They start acting irrational. Again, that solar current is only going to find its way to those who are able to receive it, those rational and unemotional people, those people who are not emotional. That's where the sun projection or the sun current will find itself storing and loading up in those people, because it can be dispatched as direct current. See, you can literally shape your body to receive certain currents and transmissions. You can shape your mindset to receive certain currents and transmission. You can shape yourself that way to receive certain solar current. And the way to shape yourself to receive solar current, or the reception of it, is by cutting away the emotion, by cutting away the indecisiveness, by cutting away the shallow-mindedness, by cutting away the boredom, by focusing on and accomplishing something in the extension of your life. This is why they want this is why they don't want the so-called black man to raise his son, because they know the woman, because the beast has made the woman emotional. He knows that they will make the boys emotional, and they will make them the recipients of the holds of lunar frequency. They will make them the open vessels for lunar frequency. And it's why you young black men are homosexuals now. You questionable about your damn sexuality, right? You weak, or you weak as hell. You soft, right? That's why y'all like that right now. You kill each other in a heartbeat over stupid stuff, end up in jail, you're going selling drugs, y'all just mad for nothing. You see, this is all done purposely to keep you out of alignment with that solar current, because the solar current is what constantly puts you in alignment to the extension and extended thoughts of yourself. See, but you have to be logical and rational to receive that. Your mind has to be steady and clear and focused. You cannot be emotional. You cannot be indecisive. You cannot be or have the delusion of choices. You can't do that. The minute you do that, you're going to throw the solar current off. The minute you do that, you throw off the solar current. Right? I point you to the movie The Omen. I got to go into this movie The Omen for a second. It just popped in my head. How many of y'all seen The Omen, the movie The Omen? How many of y'all seen part 2 to The Omen? I'm going to show you the beast even know what I'm talking about. How many of y'all seen part 2 to The Omen? How many of y'all seen The Omen? Watch Damien 2 Omen, or watch Damien 2, the one that was made in 78, when he found out he was the Antichrist, right? Watch when he accepted who he was in part 2, at 13 years old, when he accepted what his mission was in life and he focused directly on that, his power became strong. His power to control mentally and to do what he did became stronger once he accepted his place. Once he didn't have this childlike idea that, oh, I'm going to be this over here, I'm going to be that over here, I'm going to do this over here. Once he stopped being emotional and started to fall in line with what he came here to do, that direct current, then his power became great. And then the image on the wall, that's all coming from us, the Omen, the Omen. Then on the wall, behind Damien's head on the wall, when they showed, they had the picture of the sun behind his head. The red sun behind his head. And he had serpents on his head, and he had the raven on his finger. That's all our symbols. You see, once he accepted who he was, his power became great and mighty. That was around the time of 13. What does that represent? That represents the Jewish, or the so-called Jews, and they bar mitzvah for the boys when they tell them you becoming a man. That's why they had that scene in Omen too. Man, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to drop. I'm not even going to put that on here. I'm going to have to save that for Patreon to break that down and whatnot about the Zionists and that whole movie, The Omen, and what that really meant and whatnot. But they know the power of direct focus and purpose. They know the power of that. We once did it one time. We don't know that no more. That's why you niggas are sort of walking around here confused, emotional, don't know which way is up. That's why you was in slavery. That's why you allowed the beast to put you in slavery. You allowed him to come into your country because of emotion. He comes in and finds emotion in some of you, and next thing you know, he getting you to go against each other. So he plays on emotion. He plays on that lunar frequency. You see? He plays on that lunar frequency, but see, he tries to be direct in what he's doing. His goal, even though he plays all kinds of games, his goal is always meant to be direct. And we become indirect because we allow him, or we allow ourselves to become indirect in our focus. We allow ourselves to become emotional in our focus, and we become indirect, and we become misguided. That's how that happens. He received his power on earth once he accepted his position as a young man, 13 years old, Damien Thorne. See, a lot of that movie went over a lot of people's heads and what it really was. Just like a lot of things that go over people's heads. See, a lot of you women, see, this is why the beast entices a lot of you so-called black women, especially now with witchcraft. And the whole witchcraft thing, because the witchcraft thing is what? Based on the control of the manipulation of the lunar current, emotion. 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 This is why he entices a lot of so-called black women into that whole witchcraft thing. Remember in that movie, Acrimony? You see in the movie Acrimony, Tyler Perry was showing you that Taraji Henson's character was into witchcraft. She was wearing the all black and she was all emotional because she couldn't be with the man no more. She dancing all around in circles and drinking and going crazy, and she started losing her mind. Remember that? She started becoming a damn lunatic. Even after he gave her the money, which she thought would have been enough, she still was losing her mind, going crazy. You see? So the beast knows very well the spells they cast and that they are lunar spells. And whenever they show you witches doing their spells and things like that, isn't it always they showing you the full moon when they doing it? They got the black on and they showing you the full moon, right? Ain't that what they show you? The Satanists? So again, listen to me when I tell you, because they are putting you like you so-called black women on that lunar rotation. That's what got you bugged out of your mind. Why you think every 30 days or so in that rotation they give you what? Your money. When y'all want public assistance. Why you think they do it every 30 days? Every 30 days you get your moonie. Right? Same way you get your cycle. Your moon cycle. Notice that? You get all pumped up when you want public assistance. You get your moonie, your money. You see what I'm saying? They know what they're doing. Every 30 days. You see? They know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to trigger the lunacy or the lunacy in you. Right? The emotion in you. And then when you don't run through your money, what you run around, you depressed and you can't wait till you get that moonie again. So simultaneously, they give the woman the moonie, right? On every first of the month or the 15th or however they do it, right? They give you a moonie. So in the first of the month or the time of certain times of the month, you don't want your cycle to come in, but you want that money to come in. You see? You see, that's all that's planned out. That's all witchcraft, man. Even how they set up these social systems. That's all witchcraft. That's all lunar current. That's how they do. All that's done purposely, and it was all focused on the so-called black woman, because the biggest thing they fear is that the direct sun projection will be delivered through the so-called black man. Again, the so-called black man will be the one to deliver the direct solar current. And they know in every generation that you are able to produce, there's a chance that you will give birth to one of those beings who will channel in the solar projection. And if you give a birth to enough of those young beings who are able to channel in the solar projection, it will alter the dimensions here. It will alter the time frame. It will speed up, and it will out-time them. It will put them out of time, or time will pass them by. This is why they want to keep everything in that lunar frequency. This is why they want to keep everything in that lunar transmission. This is why. You see. And they will do things, and they will get people to do that. What was that movie they did with the young black boy when they was trying to push homosexuality? What was the name of the movie called? Moonlight? Was that movie not called Moonlight? Tell me I'm wrong. Well, they were trying to push homosexuality on young black boys. They even went as far as to have a damn scene in that movie that was really simulating, even though they didn't say it, was really simulating two young boys having sex with each other, two young blonde boys having sex with each other. And it was called Moonlight. Because they called it Moonlight because they knew that frequency was off in alignment to getting the so-called black men to practice homosexuality, which is not natural. That is not natural. So they knew they were pushing an unnatural frequency. They took the so-called black man, and notice they got the darkest young boy they could find and the darkest man they could find, which was supposed to be the top pinnacle of sexual propulsion and the dominance, and they wanted to weaken him through the moonlight. They wanted him to be homosexual through the moonlight. I didn't even want to see it. I know. They were trying to promote that lunacy in young black boys. That's all they was doing. They was promoting lunacy. Mental insanity. Homosexuality is lunacy. And if you say that, they'll say, oh, there's something wrong with you saying that. But prior to that time, the so-called white man, when his mind was right, when he was somewhat right, you know what I'm saying? They said homosexuality and lesbianism was a form of mental illness. That's what they said. Homosexuality and lesbianism was a form of mental illness. Then all of a sudden they changed in the 70s and say, oh, it's an alternative lifestyle. Reason being is because a lot of homosexuals and lesbians became psychiatrists, and they the ones that because they practiced that lifestyle, that so-called alternative, aka lunar lifestyle, alternating current, that lunar lifestyle. They said, oh, there's nothing wrong with that. You see? That's why they did that. They want the lunar frequency to rule. They want the moon frequency to rule. They do not ever want the solar projection or the solar projection to come forward again. They don't want them solar frequencies coming through here, all those solar flares. That's why they so big on, oh, global warming, oh, it's going to get bad. We got to put a dome around the planet. That's why they so big on that. You see? That's why they want to stop that. That's why there's solar panels. Solar panels is not for the storing of, it's not for solar energy. It's for the storing of sunlight. They're figuring a way to try and dispatch it out somewhere because they don't want it hitting or making direct connection to the planet. This is why they have solar panels. It's not for your use because the stuff that they use to run a lot of the solar panels off and whatnot, it's not even, they still using electrical current. Go look at that movie. The stuff they use, and they still got to use fossil fuel and all this other stuff to try and run the solar panels. So what's the sense of having solar panels if they still got to use electricity and water current and all these other things, fossil fuel to run it? What's the sense in having it? Go look at that movie, Planet of the Humans. It's a Michael Moore production. He didn't direct the film. It's boring as hell, but if you can make yourself watch, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's called Planet of the Humans. And it's talking about, because when they're making documentaries and films like that tells you they worried about it. They know what's coming. And I told you all, that's why they went in that big thing. They went to the mountain, which was the Sun Mountain, the highest point on the earth, the mountains. They're trying to bulldoze mountains now to get coal out. You'll see. So let me go ahead and read these questions before we get out of here. What is the raising above the moon frequency? Basically moving above this three-dimensional frequency that now has control alternating current over the earth. We're trying to move into direct current, which is sun projection or solar projection. Why must we raise above it? Because again, this is where our power will come from, directly from soul projection or solar projection. There's a reason why the beast don't want you saying soul anymore or talking about putting domes around the sun. That's an active and forward thing. Again, it's also why they pushing race mixing. Every time you women mix your seed, you're blocking out the solar projection in your children. Every time you mix your seed, you're slowing down the solar projection. Where are we raising? Where are we raising to the fourth dimension? Why does the moon frequency? What does the moon frequency do? It keeps you pulled down into the three-dimensional realm, into the lunar frequency. It keeps you in a state of powerlessness, mental inabilities. What frequency are we supposed to be on? The fourth dimensional frequency, the solar frequency. That's what we're supposed to be on, in alignment with, and the elect will. And that's it. We're going to close out in the name of Omen, by the power of Omen. In Omen we trust, in Omen we thank, in Omen we continue forward forever. I am the intellectual leader, MENKARAYZZ. This has been Mentellect Radio. You guys can join me back here at 10 tomorrow night. All right? What are you going to close out with?
Outside a circle of illusion, a masquerade. Who the hell they think they fooling? With all the chaos and confusion, there's a need for isolation, a separation, to keep a steady motion. This is a light devotion. No outside distractions. We are the projections of our descendants. The bride of this is the Legion. A brighter day, a brighter way. To the future.
Resolve it, regardless what cause it, I'll solve it. There's a brighter way, there are brighter days. Throw your fright away, stand and fight today. I won't give up, keep looking up, do whatever it takes, for my family's sake.
Do it for the family.
Don't care what they say, there's a brighter way, and a brighter day. Don't make the mistake, and fade away. Be more than great, I'm more than fate. You'll be on your way.
There's no other way to the future.
Rising out the black race to the bright race, out the black race to the bright race. It's the republic of mentellect, black race to the bright race. If
there's hell, and then there's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me and you. The infinite capabilities that